Welcome to For the Love of Self podcast. My name is Heather Murphy. I am an embodiment coach and trauma-informed breathwork facilitator. It is my mission to help you love yourself deeply. If you are desiring unbreakable confidence and are ready to embody your authentically expressed next level self, where you are creating a life with heart-opening relationships, finances, and success, then get ready for your dose of self-love. Hello, my beautiful friend. Thank you so much for tuning in today. We have another lovely guest on this week. Her name is Angie. She is a human design reader and host of the podcast Evolving on Purpose. After spending years obsessed with finding the answer, the only thing she knew for sure was that there wasn't one perfect path for everyone. We are all unique, and by learning to release our program beliefs and find our unique voice, we can see what is correct for our individual selves. Today, we get into the different types in human design, and this is just an introduction to human design. If you don't know what human design is, you are going to learn all about that today. So if you have a chance, if you're not driving or busy, take a second and go to just Google human design and look up your chart. You just have to put in your birth date, where you were born, all the usual sort of things, and then you can find out what type you are. So there's a couple of different types, and then today you will learn about your type from Angie. I hope you get so much from this episode to step into your most authentic self. Speaking of your most authentic self, next week on Wednesday, June 28th at noon PST, Pacific Standard Time, I am hosting a workshop called Embodied Forces. This is a free workshop. This is an opportunity for you to get clear about who you are and what you want, to set aligned intentions, to really make time for you, to discover and release any roadblocks, and move beyond knowing and step into embodiment. And if you don't know what I mean by that, you are going to learn all about embodiment in this free Embodied Forces workshop. Again, that's Wednesday, June 28th at 12 p.m. PST. You can sign up using the link in my bio. I cannot wait to see you there and help you fully embody the most authentic expression of yourself. I hope that you enjoyed today's episode and that it helps you step into the most authentic expression of yourself. Hello, everyone, and welcome to For the Love of Self podcast. This is your host, Heather, and today we have Angie here today, and we are going to be talking about human design. And I already know, we've already discussed this, there is so much to human design that can help you really love yourself deeper and help you connect with your most authentic self. And so we're going to just really be starting with some basics today, how you can understand your type and how you can understand your child's type as well. And then we're planning on doing multiple episodes around the topic of human designs because there are layers, and it's ever since I learned about my human design type, I mean, I'm still just trying to embody it and know it, but without further ado, here is Angie. Thank you so much for being here today. We're so excited to learn from you all the things.
Thank you. Thank you, Heather. I love sharing this because it really changed my life, and I've seen it change so many people's lives, even my family. It's so interesting because you know how they talk about how Jesus couldn't even help his family, right? People don't listen to you, but your close family are not the people you're here to heal, right? But just through talking about this over and over and over, my sister, my mom, my husband, people are they're starting to gain so much insight that it makes me so happy, even if they weren't super interested in it. And then the people that are kind of looking for that thing to just have a little bit more self-awareness. Oh my gosh, it's so helpful. And I just love sharing it.
Yeah, well, it's so cool because I think about for me, I just learned about what human design was a year or two ago. And when I had my first reading. Yeah, I guess I would, maybe it was longer. Oh my God. Where I think that pandemic threw me off. So it was actually like 4 years ago that I had an initial reading and I just felt so seen. And so today at the end, we're going to be encouraging people to book a reading with you and everything because it just, you just, I don't know. I think sometimes like some people don't necessarily always connect with astrology, especially if they're the type of people that just read their horoscope in the paper. And so there's so much, so much depth to it. But yeah, exactly with what you said. It's like people can maybe just start to like hear little pieces and essences of their type or whatever, and then just kind of be like, oh, wow, that is like uniquely me. That's so interesting. So, first, I'd love to ask you today, because maybe somebody's listening to this and they're like, what the hell are you talking about? Let's first talk about what is human design. Like, give us a little bit of background just so people can understand what it is.
Yeah, yeah. So I would love anybody that doesn't know what it is to just Google human design and pull up a free chart, right? And my website, by the end of the summer, I'm hoping to have it on my website that you can pull your chart. But right now, I don't have it on my website yet. So there are so many free resources out there. You can just type in like free human design chart. And it will give you so many different places to get it. And so once you've pulled your chart up, you're going to see it kind of looks like it is called a body graph because it's a body, right? Like you see the 9 centers in a human body. And so human design, you're going to put in your birth date, your birth time, and your birth location. Just like astrology, it does use the position of the sun, the moon, the stars to gather this information, but it uses it in a very different way. So it does use the point of birth, a lot of the different things in astrology, but it places them in the Hindu chakra system, in kind of like the 9 centers, which are kind of based on the chakra system. We've added 2, so instead of the 7, there's 9 because 2 of them split into their own different placements. And then you have the Chinese I Ching, you have the tree of life, and you have the quantum mechanics of how things work in the quantum realm. And they've combined all of these different systems into one place. And that's what I love. I'm a manifesting generator, and we'll talk about what that means. But it's like, okay, you gave me all of this information, all of this ancient wisdom. You placed it in one place and you've given me, and when I see a body graph, it kind of looks to me like a circuit system. I can see where do you have energy? Where are you open? Where you're consistent, where you're inconsistent, where you're thinking that other people's energy is yours, and where you're maybe, because I feel like the human condition is to either think other people are wrong or you're wrong. There's a lot of wrongness, right?
Mm-hmm.
And when we utilize this system, we can really see what is correct for us and what might have been kind of programmed by other people's energy. And we can kind of let go of that and really sink into what our actual system is saying, what listening to our inner voice, our system, playing deeper into our gifts and not what we think, oh, that person can do this and this and this. Why can't I? It's not like we can't. It just takes a lot more energy to try to be somebody else, right?
Yeah, this might be for somebody then that feels really tired. Like maybe they just are like, I don't know why. I'm so tired. And that might be because you're not being in your authentic energy and
Yeah.
truth. Yeah. Well, that's beautiful. I would love, I know today we're going to be talking about types, but can you just touch on real quick, like, that there are types, but also like, what is a type? And then what is a strategy? Like maybe the basics, like what is it? So it's like,
Yeah.
there's lines, there's types, there's strategy and authority,
So
right? Yeah.
So
Just
when you
maybe.
pull up, yeah, when you pull it up, you're going to see your type, your strategy, a signature or not self theme. You're going to see what your authority is. You're going to see your profile. So those are kind of the big things that human design, things that's going to give you a lot of information. And so we're going to go through all of the different types. There's 5. Strategy is going to be tied to the types. So we'll go over those two. And then next time, maybe we'll go into deeper what authority is. Okay. So we'd see what type of authority you have. And then that would give us like, what do we lean into? And we can touch that very lightly today. And then the profile is kind of the costume that you came here to wear. And there's two numbers there. Because in human design, we always have the unconscious design, which the design side is unconscious. And then we have conscious, which we call the personality side. So the first number is always going to be personality. It might be a little bit more something that you would know about yourself. And then the second is more unconscious that maybe other people see more in yourself. And so that's just a 1 through 6 number. And that gives us a lot of information. So I can't wait to do a profiles episode as well. So yeah, those are kind of the top things. And then there's so much to go through. And somebody books a reading, I do kind of teach a very high level, very quick through this. So you really understand this deeply. But the 9 centers is something to go through too. We have the head, the ajnas, kind of the head is, what do we think about the ajnas? How do we conceptualize the throat? How do we manifest or speak? The G center is like direction, love and direction, willpower. Are you a person that has a ton of willpower? Tony Robbins has a ton of willpower. Or do you not? And do you beat yourself up about that? Because it's just not correct for you if you don't have that center lit up to hold yourself to that degree. That sacral, that creation of energy. Spleen, this really protective center. Maybe it holds some fears these fears that kind of drive you. The emotional center, are you open or defined emotionally? Do you have an emotional wave that's the same every time? Are you wide open? And when somebody else comes in the room with an emotional wave, you feel it at 200%. That's an empath. If you're open emotionally, you're an empath. Do you have a root center that is defined? If you do, you have your own sense of timing. If you don't, other people's timing pushes in on you. And it's very uncomfortable sometimes because you are like, oh, I got to get this done, Mm-hmm. And so just understanding even these basics give you so much more information about why you feel the way that you feel when you interact with other people or even alone.
I love this because I'm just so obsessed with energetics, like there's this unspoken part of being a human being in a body that I think people are intuitively feeling. And this is why human design is so interesting to me, because I just feel like, again, I felt so seen and as I continue to learn about my own human design, I'm just like, oh, wow, it's just so clarifying in terms of the way I feel I'm experiencing reality. So yeah, well, let's jump into the types then, and wherever you want to start, I'll let you lead the way.
So let's just start with the 5 types, but it's really 4 with a subtype being manifesting generator. So generator type means that you have that the second square up is defined, and that's a sacral. And so if you are familiar with the chakra system, you know that a sacral is kind of that creation center, right? It's kind of in the womb area of a woman. It's this creation, right? So if you have that defined, you have a lot of energy towards creating physical things. And so as a generator, you're usually going to have this kind of energy that kind of focuses in. It wants to stair step. It wants to learn and grow in kind of a stair step pattern. So a generator, they bring in this energy of creation. They create their own aura. They create their own energy. And they push this energy out into the world to create things. Now, the generator doesn't, the strategy is to respond for a generator, because it's a creation, a material of this world motor center. And so it needs something in front of it to respond to. So you could say, oh, this would be really cool in your head, but until it's kind of in front of you, until that whatever you're trying to create is in front of you, your motor can't say, ooh, this looks really good, right? I have energy for this. So when you're a generator type, you want to respond to life. Somebody comes to you and says, ooh, I have this opportunity. And then you kind of listen. And you could have a different authority than the sacral. If you're emotionally defined, the emotional is going to outweigh the sacral. But it's still, if you have that defined, you're going to go, this is a yes, or this is a no. This fills me up, or this doesn't. I have energy for this if I don't. But if you continuously are shutting this system down and saying, no, I have to do X, Y, and Z from the mind, you're going to continuously not listen to this motor center that said it had energy. And that's where we get burnout. That's where a lot of generators, because I'm going to tell you, if you're a generator or a manifesting generator, you have a ton of energy, right? Like you have energy to work 16-hour days if you're lit up. Mm-hmm. And if you don't have that type of energy, you're not lit up. And if you're really exhausted and burnout, you probably haven't listened to that in a while, and that fire's not lit, right? Mm-hmm. So what do we have to do? We have to go back and kind of rekindle that fire. We have to make more choices in our day that feel lighting from the inside, lit, that we're responding to, that we're not making things happen in the mind. We're waiting for things to come into our awareness. Maybe it's food. Maybe you're at the grocery store and you're like, what really lights me up right now? Mm-hmm. Give yourself little things to kind of light that fire. And as that fire burns bigger and bigger and bigger, and you listen to it more, that's when you restore your energy. And if you have a generator child, they come into this world very lit. They know yes or no, right? Ask them yes or no questions. And if this generator child is allowed to kind of have this authority over themselves to understand, ooh, this lights me up, let me go do this, then they burn that sacral energy, they sleep really good at night, and they get up and they can't wait to do it again. But if you as a parent are like, no, you have to do this, this, and this, and you're having them do things constantly that do not light them up, you're overriding their authority over and over again, then they're going to learn that doesn't matter, right? That they don't know how to use that authority. So with a generator, I have 2 generator sons. I am very careful. Like, yes, I can't just be like, do whatever you want. The world is your oyster. There are some things that we have to do, right? Like I have to teach them maybe to put their clothes in the laundry or to unload the dishwasher. And maybe that doesn't light them up. But the big things, the everyday things, I even try to let them have a little autonomy about what they eat, because these are little choices that they get. Now, can they have ice cream for breakfast? No, but they can make a choice that lights them up a little bit, right? Mm-hmm. And so we play with that a little bit with being a generator, seeing what lights them up, keeping them very busy and active, because they do have so much energy. Yeah.
Oh, sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but I was just going to say, I'm so glad you brought this up, because I wanted you to talk about how your kids play a lot of sports and you keep them so active. So like keeping that in mind for your child is beautiful. I love that.
Yeah, if they love sports, or they just love to run and climb, or they love, a lot of generators are going to be physically active. There's a lot of physical energy in the sacral to be used. So making sure that they burn that out, because I know of other generator children that weren't kind of allowed to do that. They play a lot of video games, and they're on ADHD medication. They're on Tylenol to go to sleep Tylenol at night, just all kinds of things that, as a mother, the mom doesn't know, right? Like she doesn't know. She's wondering why this kid can't sleep, why this kid can't, like,
why does this kid have so much energy that they don't know what to do with?
She's just trying to figure it out and doesn't have the tools and the resources and the understanding. But that's why we have so much of these issues. Is the generators, there's 35% are straight generator, 35% are manifesting generator. That's 70% of the population are generator type. And they have a lot of energy that needs to be burned. And if it doesn't get burned, they don't sleep well. And what happens when you don't sleep well? Your melatonin production's off. And then what happens the next day and the next day? And it just compounds. Mm-hmm. It's a compounded problem. So I'm not saying that every kid that has ADHD or something like that could just be cured by getting outside, but it would be the first thing I tried, right? Like burning that energy as much as I could.
I love that. I have a question for you, and I don't know if we really want to go down this rabbit hole too much, but it just popped into my mind. And, sometimes I get a lot of clients that are trying to get clarity on what they want to do, like for work or what their purpose is. And I guess when you said that generators have a lot of like physical energy, so do you think like generators typically, like I've heard that generators are kind of like the builders because they make up such a large portion of the population that they kind of are like the builders of society. Do you have anything to say on that or
I wouldn't say just
thoughts?
because they're the builders that means that they came in with like the heavy
The
lifting.
physical. Yeah.
They're not like literally lifting the blocks and making
Okay.
things. This is creation energy, creating a business, creating.
Mm,
They do have so much more physical energy that catering or doing like physical things could be good for them, right? But
mm,
that doesn't mean
sure.
like I'm a manifesting generator. I have tons of energy. I don't have a root defined. So physical energy is not huge for me. Do I walk every day?
Oh,
Yes. Do I try to do yoga to ground myself? Yes. I pull
got it.
in grounding energy. I do physical things just because, and I look at lots of different things. I look at my blood type. I look at all of the different things that are going to build up what's good and healthy for me. But my building is learning all the things. I have a ton of Mercury energy. I have a ton of thought. I have a ton of enthusiasm. I have a ton of, so that's more of my building, right? Using all of
Mhm.
that.
Got
So,
it. It's
so
so
we couldn't say
nuanced.
across the, yeah.
Yeah. Okay. I was just curious. Like, thanks for sharing that. Awesome. Okay. I'll let
Yeah.
you continue.
We can, and when you see a generator, so I have a generator son and a generator husband. When you see these generators, it's pretty focused, right? Like they're learning one thing at a time usually, and they're mastering that. Generators love to master a skill, right? Now we have manifesting generators. So now we've got that sacral is defined, that creation energy, but we have a motor to the throat. Motor to the throat is like manifester energy, like idea, do it, idea, do it, idea, do it. So now we've got this sacral that's defined. So if it's being lit up by what it loves and responding to life, because it's still a generator, it's still here to respond. And then it has this idea that it wants to fulfill. Manifesting generators are usually, you'll see, like, I have 50 tabs on my computer open at all times because I'm learning 6 different things at a time. I'm interested in this and this and this and this. And I let myself, I remember listening to people. I was working a 9 to 5 job, burning all of my energy in the wrong way, but I didn't really feel like I had the choice at the time, right? So I'm working this 9 to 5 job and I'm learning all this in my free time because I'm so excited. I'm listening to this woman talk about she's a manifesting generator. She's an artist. She's a creator. She's got all of these outlets and she lets her body tell her what she wants to do in that moment.
Hmm.
I'm living that dream now, but at that time, I'm like, that seems pretty.
Yeah. That sounds
Oh,
nice.
yeah. Yeah. Sounds nice.
Yeah.
But you still have to start somewhere, right?
Mhm.
So I'm giving myself the outlets to learn things, to do things that are interesting to me, and not saying, why can't you just master this one thing? And then you can, because that's what I was told when I was a kid. Grass
Yeah.
isn't always greener, Ange. That's what I was told all the time.
Hmm.
Well, the grass is greener for me. I want to try this grass and this grass and this grass, right? And I'm putting together all of the grasses to create what does excite me, to put them all together. I use human design, astrology, gene keys, mindset coaching, hypnotherapy. I've learned all the things when they were exciting to me, and now I have them in my toolkit. Now I have
Hmm.
them. But if I listen to that voice, like, you just have to be a tapping coach. No, I don't. I get
Yeah.
to be all of it. And so that's the manifesting generator. And so I have a son that's a manifesting generator. And so he's very creative. He loves music, but he's also into sports. And he also, he's into all the different things. And so my generator son that's into sports goes, focuses, and perfects. My manifesting generator is kind of like, this is fun today. This is fun that, so we have to
Mm-hmm.
play and we have to talk about the consequences of if you decide that you signed up for this and you don't want to do this right now, you're not going to get a play if you don't show up for practice, right?
Yeah.
So we talk
Yeah.
about the consequences, but I do let him have some freedom. Do you
Yeah.
have the energy for this? Do you have what is, and I don't make it wrong that he has tons of different interests. And one day he wants to make a YouTube video about him shooting baskets with music. And it's the cutest thing. It's on my Instagram if anybody wants to see. And
Mm.
one day he wants to, go out and perfect something else. But I'm allowing him to hear. He responds. He does. He responds very quickly. He's a manifesting generator. So he sees something on YouTube and now he wants to do it right now. Or
Mm-hmm.
he decides he wants to cook Mom, I want to cook dinner tonight. Well, we don't have the ingredients because I can't snap my fingers. So I have to kind of teach him what's available and we're playing with this, but I don't make it wrong.
Yeah.
And I
Yeah.
think that's a big thing with parenting and with yourself. It was wrong for
Mm-hmm.
me forever. It was like, why can't you just get your stuff together? Why can't you just get yourself together? And it's like, no, I'm not allowing my creativity, my multi-passionate personality to come out. So I am drained and exhausted and burnt out and nothing seems fun anymore.
Mm.
And the way do we bring that in is to let ourselves respond. I
I
let
love.
myself respond to music at first. I wasn't
Mm-hmm.
even listening to the music I loved because I was a mom and I was so busy and I was so exhausted. I was listening to what they liked.
Right.
What
Yeah.
do I like? What lights me up today?
Yeah, that's so beautiful thinking about like the ways we can, as parents, make space for ourselves and our authenticity. And there's, I think about like the manifesting generator. I think like in education, there's play-based learning. And I'm like, this makes me think about play-based learning, which is very like
Yeah.
free, holistic, and yeah, just like freedom, I think. And so I love that. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was 70% of the population, right? The
You're right.
manifesting generator and the generator. So those are people we see a lot of, right? Um, and so Nike has this thing, just do it, right? Just do
Hmm.
it. Just go create a business, right? It always comes from the mind. We have to figure out how to make everything work from the mind. Human design takes us out of the mind and into the body. What is
Hmm.
my body wisdom? What is my innate wisdom? What is that inner calling to me? So generators get a lot of, they do things that they don't want to be doing because the outside world says this is how it's supposed to be. They try to create from the mind instead of responding. Now we're moving to manifestors, 8% of the population. They are the just do it, right? They are the Nike just do it. They get an idea and they're supposed to just do it. The problem is they're not paired with the sacral. They don't have all the energy in the world. So the world shows you these people that maybe have all of this just do it energy and all of this sacral. And the manifestor is like, they're kind of the CEO, the serial entrepreneur, the fire starter. They can really fire people up with these ideas. But the idea comes and then they need the people to do it. And so if everybody's in the correct place, maybe you have this beautiful manifestor in your life that, or as your boss, that gets this idea and then comes to a team of generators and says, this is my idea. Who's got the energy for it? Somebody's sacral is going to light up and they're the right person, right?
Yeah.
But we don't work that way. So this manifestor thinks, I have this idea, I have to go do it. And their energy doesn't last for more than spurts. They've got these spurts, idea, spurt, idea, spurt. If they even still have the idea, because parenting a manifestors are very rebellious. They have an idea and they want to go do it right now. And then when you're parenting and a parent kind of knows like this thing's kind of unsafe, right? Like this kid is a little unsafe because they're so quick and I don't know where they're going. Manifestors have this very inward aura. It's not very easy to feel which way they're moving. It's
Mm.
inward. We don't feel it very easily. So you're kind of like, where are they going to go? Is it safe? Is it not? Um, they have an idea, they walk out the door and go do it. And if they have very strict parents, they get squashed constantly. The parent thinks, oh, I really got to hold this kid, right? And that kind of gets dampened. And so if you're a manifestor and you don't feel like you're in there going, I've got an idea and I can do it, it might have been dampened at some place. So play with that. And when you rest, you need to rest, right? Like when your energy, you had the spurt, and when not, you rest. And you're okay with that. A lot of manifestors can feel kind of lazy. They're like, I had all this energy and now it's gone. And now I just want to sit. And they kind of need a little bit of time to unwind from all of the sacral energy out there. And so just kind of allowing and playing with that. The manifestor is they need to tell people what they're doing. Manifestor doesn't love to do that because they were told no as a child. They don't like to hear no. So now they just go do without saying anything, and people are like, I don't know which way you're going. And if they just gave us that information, then we would be able to either say, ooh, I could help with that, right? So their place is, their strategy is to inform. And when you inform, you're giving people the chance to respond around you.
Right.
And you're also letting them know what the heck's going on, so they're not going, And
Totally.
so if they practice that informing, they can see changes in the way people interact around them, in the way that maybe fires light around them to help them. When they don't inform and somebody gets in their way, they get angry. It's and it's just like, no, I had an idea and you got in my way, right?
Yeah.
So
people might have seen this in their own children, right? Like exactly what you were describing, where I don't know if this was the kid you were talking, one of your kids, but when you mentioned like, oh, I want to cook this thing for dinner tonight, and then being like, what do you like, just being frustrated that it's like, well, we don't have the ingredients, like, and now you're in the way of my thing. But so understanding that like life, of course, gets in the way of us being able to do everything all the time that we want to do, but so being reasonable, but recognizing that there's like an energetic at play that that manifestor just, I was just thinking too, I was like, I don't know if I'm sure I must know a manifestor, but I'm not aware of it consciously or something, but I can sense like, go ahead.
Yeah. They're 8%, right? So 70% are this and 8%. So you don't have a ton in your life, but you probably have at least one. And my one growing up was an older cousin that I was just obsessed with. I was like, I want to be around her, but I never knew where she was going, what she was doing. She was too cool, and when she would kind of bring me in, she always had great ideas. And we went, and it was like, a manifestor sometimes says to jump, you say how high. You're like, what can I do for you? But it's a very uncomfortable energy at the same time. I was always, a lot of people can feel this, and they can feel that people feel this, so that's where the informing comes in. It's very, I'm trying to think of Jack Nicholson. I think it's Jack Nicholson is a man, like you can feel that, right?
Yeah.
So it's always interesting. But yeah, so that's 8% of the population. If you have a child, you have to keep them safe, but you want to give them a little bit of freedom. They need freedom. A manifestor really needs freedom. A generator needs to be lit up. So giving them yes or no questions, giving them some autonomy over what's lighting them up. A manifestor needs freedom. They need as much as they can get. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Like just you saying, and not to jump too far back to generators, but like my husband's a generator as well. And I realize now I'm always like, where do you want to go for dinner? Instead, it's like you need to ask them, do you want sushi or do you want sushi?
Yeah.
Yes or no? Or do you want,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
because he does, because he does this thing with me where he says, yeah, like whatever I'll say, where do you want to go? Yeah, that sounds great. He does this joke where he's like, as if I've already came up with the idea. He's like,
Yep.
he literally is telling me, he's like, I don't want to answer that question. Like,
Yep.
yeah, yeah. So that's
Yeah. And
awesome.
so as a projector, you can be very good at saying, okay, I'm going to look at all the options. I've got a kind of a system of it. And then I'm going to choose a couple that I give you like an A, B, or C and give you
Mm-hmm.
one at a time and know that he's probably going to say anything's fine. And then you say burgers and he's like, no, like
Mm-hmm.
giving him that option gives his sacral something to react to.
That's so helpful to know. Yeah, I realize I'm having such huge realizations because I'm like, I always am like, because as a mom too, we talk about the mental load, and sometimes I'm like, well, I don't want to come up with all the decisions, but I'm like, okay, I could reframe this and be like, I just need to come up with some options and then do one at a time.
Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
this summer, my kids are gonna be home. And I'm trying to figure out what is the best way to structure this summer because I don't want them laying around. They're so busy at
Yeah.
school and with sports. But during the
Hmm.
summer, it's a lot more lays time. I don't want them on electronics too much. I don't want them, but I don't want to be in charge of that. So I'm just gonna make a list that says, here's like the cleaning, here's the options for outside. Pick, go to, they get done with one thing, pick from the list, check it off. You need
Yes.
to go outside for 2 hours. Here's 5 options for you. Pick one.
Yes,
And then
I've
they
seen
can go
those
to the list.
lists. Yeah,
Yeah,
so
they
go
can go to
ahead.
the list and choose. I'm not going to say the moment you get up, you need to clean this, you need to do this. But they
Hmm.
can choose sometime throughout the day. Find a time when your sacral says, I got the energy for this.
I love that. Yeah, I was just gonna say I've seen those on Pinterest, those lists that are like before electronics have you, and then it has like all the things. So something like that might work. But I love the idea of it being kind of like, just more of like some optional, not like do this, then this, but it's like here's what you can do before you just go sit on your iPad for 3 hours or
Yeah.
something.
And with
So
kids, the more autonomy that they can have, the better, right?
yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Anytime I see a mom and that it's just how they are. They're very structured. They're
Hmm.
very, and I'll see I have a neighbor that's very structured and she's trying to structure the crap out of her kids. And I'm just like,
How
oh my
exhausting.
gosh, it exhausts me looking at it. And I'm like, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, can they not be kids for a moment? Can they not have any choice over what they think, how they feel, I don't get in the school. I trust my school. I trust my teachers. Like I know them,
Hmm.
but I don't get in the school and say, don't teach my kid that. I say, what'd you learn? Tell me what you thought about that.
Right. Oh, I
Let
love
them
that.
think about it.
Yeah, absolutely. Because your kids are someday going to be adults interacting in the world. I mean, you can't, I mean, within reason, you can't, totally block them and shield them from everything. So it's better just to have conversations, like you said. And I
Yeah.
love how, like, as I'm getting to know you too, like, you talk about this sort of, it's like a structure, non-structure thing, like how busy or how like you let your children be follow their yeses and stuff like through being active with sports and whatever music interests, and at the same time like without that structure that you're describing. It sounds really balanced. Like for me, I'm like the opposite. I'm not structured at all. In fact, I feel like I need to bring in some options for my child just to be like, okay, like there's an option for structure, I guess is what I'm trying to say, without like control, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. And you have a projector child, correct?
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, this is a good time to
So
go to projectors. So her and I are
yeah.
both projectors. And then we
Yeah.
got
So
the husband.
projectors are, yeah, 20% of the population. And so you will have a few projectors in your life, right? Like my mom's a projector, my stepdad's a projector. I have a couple of nieces and nephews that are projectors. So I love getting to see the projectors interacting. Projectors it's a tough one because they also do not have that sacral defined, right? So growing up in a generator, I feel like it's a generator world that loves a manifestor, go get it, but it's a generator world, right? And so we've got these projectors, and a projector, they don't have the sacral defined, and they've got a very focused energy, right? Like I love a projector because they see you very deeply. Actually, human design readers that are projectors are really good. Human design readers, they can really dial in and see you very deeply. So the projector has this ability to dial in and see somebody one-on-one in a very deep way. Projectors are very good one-on-one. I'm not saying you can't be in a group of people if you're a projector, but that one-on-one is very special for them. And also they have this ability to kind of see from a higher vantage point. So they can really understand. Usually projectors are very good at systems. They're very good at understanding energy and where there's energy, where there's not, how to simplify things so you don't have to utilize as much energy to do them. And they're really good. They always have something that they can really perfect, right? They always have a zone of genius in them. And when that is recognized, they can give so much insight and so much they bring so much richness to the situation. So much. My stepdad is one of the best projectors I know. He's a grumpy old man, but he is a project manager, right? Like my mom corrected me once. I don't know exactly what his job is, but he goes to the big builds and he's in charge of the project, right? He's in charge of making sure all the workers show up where they're supposed to be, what they're supposed to be doing, and he's really good at it. And guess what? He checks on the project, he makes sure everybody's doing what they do, and then he goes home and lays in his chair and takes a little nap. And then he goes back to the thing and tells them what to do, and then maybe goes home and takes a little nap, and then and he has all of this rest built into his day. He's a splenic projector, so it's a yes until it's a no for him, and the moment it's a no, it's a no. I don't have time for you people. I'm in my room. My mom has taught him that you just nicely say, I'm going to go to my room, instead of grump at people. But when he's done, he's done. He goes to his room.
I can relate so much because I go hide in the bathroom at parties all the time because I have that splenic authority. So
yeah,
I'm like, yep, I'm done. I need to go recharge. So I'll go hide in the bathroom.
And wouldn't it be wonderful if all of society understood you deeply, understood themselves deeply, and didn't make these things wrong? I'm done. Mm-hmm. I'm an Irish goodbye. I'm out. Right? Like,
oh my God, the Irish goodbye, 1,000%. I always do that.
Yeah, no more room. My stepdad goes and sits in the truck and waits for my mom to give all the hugs. She's a projector too, but she's an emotional projector. Tribe is everything to her. So she's okay with all of us, right?
Mm-hmm.
He's a splenic. He's done, gone. I'm out, right? Projector children is so important to teach them because you probably were not taught as a little kid to not insert yourself in situations where you were not invited. When a projector's invited, the little kid that's sitting up in the tree doing their own thing, twiddling their thumbs, and all the other kids are playing, and they have an idea that could make this game so much better. They could, if that kid says, hey, you got an idea? And they come down and they give their idea. Whoa. Now the projector who loves success is now given like, thank you. Oh my gosh, you just made this game so much better for us, right? Like you just gave us so much insight. That's a projector. That's what a projector's supposed to be. And so teaching our children as projectors how to be properly invited, because you don't have all the energy in the world. So when you're giving it freely and then shut down, The projector goes to bitterness very quickly. It's like bitter taste in their mouth. They didn't appreciate that. I just gave them my life force. I don't have a ton of, and they didn't even appreciate it. And so you're giving away this energy, and then you're depleted.
Right. It literally like as a projector, it literally does feel like that bitterness where you're like, why did I even say anything? So
yeah.
yeah.
People don't love as projectors to see bitterness, right? I had a
Yeah.
client that was like, I saw that I'm supposed to wait for the invitation and I'm bitter. No, I'm not. And it's like, my mom is a projector and I would never call her bitter, but I can see the moment that she's given her genius and somebody has not listened. And it's like,
Yeah.
and it'll even go to, why do I even try? Like this.
Yes. Yeah.
Very quickly, and it's very deflating. And the more that you just kind of understand how your energy works, and for somebody that maybe has even heard this before and they're like, I didn't connect to that, I'm a go-getter, I'm a projector, because there are projectors with a lot more energy. You have a ton of idea, emotional, you don't have a ton of energy as a projector. But there are projectors that do have energy, right? And so they maybe don't connect to that, or they forced it a lot, which is what most projectors do. But maybe you don't connect to this. But I always say that the projector is the lighthouse, right? Like just doing your zone of genius, going in your own space and working on your zone of genius. And if you're a coach or you're trying to sell something or do something, or like you have the podcast, like I'm going to show up. And if you want to hear it, you're going to come, right? But I'm not going to try to go to you. I'm not going to force my way in. I'm just going to be here. I'm the lighthouse. I turn my lighthouse on. If you're energetically in alignment, you're going to see that light shining from me and you're going to ask. And that's the person that I need to be attracting. And that's all you got to do. And that's why we got to, kind of teach children too when it feels good to be recognized and when it doesn't. So having conversations when your daughter gets shut down. Ooh, they didn't understand your genius. You wait till the right person asks, like having conversations about it and making sure to ask her when you see her in her zone of genius so she can feel what it feels like to be in the correctness of that energy.
Yeah, that's something I've been really trying to work on because I can tell she really wants to be seen. I mean, she's an only child as well, and I can tell she just really wants to be let her light shine. She loves to entertain. Yeah. She loves to sing, and then she wants, she'll get mad if we're not watching.
Yeah. Well, I have a niece and a nephew that are both projectors. And they're the only one. My sister, one sister has 6 kids. My other sister has 2. I have step siblings. They're the only children that want to be my favorite. They come to me, am I your favorite? Am I your favorite? I tell them they're my favorite, I give them the love and attention. They're the only ones who care. The generators don't care. They're doing their thing. Yeah. The manifestor doesn't care. He's the best. He knows he's the best, right? Right. He walks into school. He's got 50 people walking behind him. He just goes out and does it, right? The projector wants to be the best. And I tell him, oh yeah, you're my favorite,
Totally. Oh, I love that. And so I think that is something where, like shining your light. I love the lighthouse analogy that has really helped me. But shining your light and then that recognition, like surrounding yourself more with people that recognize you and not giving your energy to people that just don't,
Yeah.
They're not your people.
No.
They're not your tugboats.
No. And those that are will, they'll show up when you're, I had this projector that, and I'd only had a couple of conversations with her about human design over the years, but I could feel the bitterness in her, right? And then she all of a sudden started posting these videos every day. And I was like, man, ooh, I'm attracted right now. I could feel it. And so I said, do you want to have coffee? And I invited her to coffee and asked her what's going on. And she had been meditating every day, kind of releasing. And just when she feels compelled, she shares. And she's been sharing every day, like on her stories or whatever. And she has a sound channel and things like that. And I was like, whoa, it was so cool to see a projector in their element, because it's very hard to get projectors turned on because they're so, by adults, they're so burnt out, right? Like they're
Yeah.
so tired. And it's
Yeah.
like, oh, I just love when you're turned on. I love when you're just doing you. Like it's so attractive. Everybody will come.
Yeah.
Relax, I promise. So
Yeah. It's
always,
really just about like, do you, boo? Do you?
yeah, yeah.
I love that. Awesome.
Yes. And then our last, we have the reflector. It's only 1% of the population. So if you're lucky enough to have a project or a reflector in your life, they're very special. They have every single center open. So they're really reflecting the energy of the group, of you, of the people around them. Um, my best friend, so my cousin is a reflector, and she was my best friend growing up, and then she's kind of moved and has her own little circle now. That it's very interesting to see her kind of reflect her tribe there. And now my best friend that I met in the military is a reflector, and we talk all the time. And so it's been very interesting because the talk about being a reflector is not always the best. I don't feel like in the human design community. Either A, they're forgotten about because it's only 1% of the population. Who cares, right? Or B, they're told they have no energy, they have no personality, they're just reflecting, and that's not true, right? Like we all have an incarnation cross, which is what we came here, our purpose, right? We all have a profile, which is our costume, that we interact with. We all have a divine mission, right? Like we all have a reflector. It's hardest for them because they have to be completely alone to really feel their own energy.
Mm-hmm.
So making sure that a reflector has enough time by themselves. If you have a child that's a reflector, please let them have their own room that they get to do whatever they want to. They decorate it how they want. It's their room, it's their space. They need a place. My cousin that's a reflector, she has children and she dates, but she does not have a partner live with her. Her room is her
Yeah.
room. Her
Mm-hmm.
space is her space. And it works for her. She's
Yeah.
different, right? And
Yeah.
I'm not saying you can't have a partner that lives with you, but you need your space. It's sacred.
Yeah. Like having a studio or something, if you do have a partner or something separate, probably would
Yeah.
help.
And
Yeah.
then making sure that the people that you surround yourself with are so they make you feel good, right?
Mm-hmm.
Because you are so conditioned by the people around you. You amplify everything around you. So if the people around you are not healthy, you are not healthy. If the people around you are on a mission that feels really good to you, you are amplifying that mission.
Mm-hmm.
They're very good consultants. They're very good, lots of different things. And if they feel good going out and my friend has been a yoga instructor before. She felt very good going and doing yoga in a group setting because all those sacrals gave her the energy to work out. But then she just has to have energy to, time to kind of dispel that. And
Mm-hmm.
so it's just kind
Yeah.
of playing with that. The reflector they don't have an inner authority, it's outer. It's more based on the moon. So 28 days to make a decision is the quote unquote human design speak. A reflector actually, little decisions, maybe talk to people because when they speak, they can see their words reflected
Mm-hmm.
and they can make a decision more quickly. But if it was like a big job change or house change or marriage change or something like that, I would at least give a month because you're
Yeah.
different every day. You're
Mm-hmm.
very different every day. You're lit up by different planetary things, by different things. You're different every day. So, with a reflector, letting my friend, we talk about it a lot because she's very kind of aware of what it is to be a reflector, and then we can kind of reflect on that. And her mom would say, and her sister would kind of tease her about what mood is Rebecca in today, you know?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, okay. And then, now her partner kind of teases her. I see it. It's okay. She's 28 days different every single day. But if she really, and she's tried it a little bit right now, she's got very little kids. It's very hard. But just keeping a journal and seeing, when do I have energy for this? When do I have energy for this? Because the 28-day cycle is pretty similar for a reflector. It's keeping a log so you
Mm,
know when you've got a little bit more focused energy, when your ideas are a little more expansive, and so just kind of understanding that more.
yeah. Wow. Yeah, it's so interesting to think about. Like the only reflector I know, not in real life, I guess. This is what's her name? The blonde. I'm sorry, I'm blanking on her.
Is
She's
it the podcaster?
yeah, what's her name? Do you know what I'm
No,
talking about?
yes, I do. You put it in the show notes.
I'll put it in the show notes. Yeah, she has talked a lot about just like needing to eat alone and because like her whole business started really about eating was
Mm-hmm.
food based.
Mm-hmm.
Now she does a lot of different things now. But yeah, just needing that space like in all different facets of your life and taking that time to really like make big decisions and just with all the types, right? Just understanding that like you have your own rhythm, you have your own energy, and that other people will kind of project what they think you should be because they're their own energy type, and they're like, why are your moods all over the place, or like, why are you so tired, or why do you always have all these different ideas, and then you never, just all the judgments that can come in. But when we really begin to understand not only our type, but all of the aspects of our own human design. It's like when you just know yourself, you're like, yeah, that's just me. And I get to show up as me. And that makes me more magnetic and more loving towards myself. It makes it easier to manifest,
Is
Go
it
ahead. I'm like,
Soul on Fire, the Balanced Blonde?
the balanced blonde. Yes. Thank you. So,
Jordan? Is that her name?
yeah,
Jordan? Yeah.
Jordan. That's right.
Yes.
Yep. Thank
Yes.
you. Yeah, so but it's hard. Yeah, I don't know if I know a reflector because I haven't
Yeah.
personally
Sandra
looked at
Bullock is a reflector if anybody wants like a movie or a star
movie star. Yeah.
reference. Yeah. And she really does a wonderful job of getting into character, right? And we can
Hmm.
see, even if you look back through some of the relationships she was in, she was with that kind of motorcycle man that was
Hmm.
probably not a great relationship with her, but when she was in it, it's just it's this next level. You have to be very careful who you hook your wagon to, right?
Right, totally. Yeah, I
So,
was
which is
thinking
with
it
anybody, but yeah.
totally right for sure. Yeah, I think that movie, The Blind Side that she did, the football movie, I think she actually went and spent time with the family and the mom to like really
Yeah,
get into
that's
that
exactly what
character.
I think about when I think about her and getting into the character because she did a real life person. And so she was
Hmm.
able to go meet her and understand her energy. And I think she nailed it. I mean, I don't
Yeah,
know the person, but it felt true,
authentic.
right?
Yeah. Right, exactly. So well, gosh, this is so cool. I really would love to become a human design reader someday. I know it's just such a large amount of information that I'm slowly absorbing here and there. But for anyone out there that would be interested in a reading or any of your other offerings, how can we get in touch with you? What do you have available for us?
Yeah, if you go to evolvingonpurpose.org, that's my website, and that connects. I do have a podcast that connects to my podcast, and it also connects to my offerings. I have a small 30-minute offering in there. I think I called it like a purpose reading. That could dip your toe if you just wanted a quick one. If you want the full shebang, I have an hour. Otherwise, I updated it so that it was more clear. You can do you and a spouse or you and a child. So if you wanted to do you and, somebody else, so you could really see how your energies interact and know more deeply about both people. And then I have a family one, and I don't I don't really care how many people you put on that. It's an hour and a half. So if you have 5 people in your family, I'm going to touch on all 5 of them in that time, So yeah, those are kind of some of my offerings. I do offer some coaching. It's you book the first hour on there, and that is mostly going to go over human design and then what are your goals, and then we can use the plethora of tools that I've learned. I throw some astrology into that, gene keys, and all of the different modalities. Maybe we'll do some light hypnosis and things like that to really clear some of the things and really work on becoming, exactly who you want to be and really understanding yourself. I say human design is a manual. We came with an instruction manual. Some people throw the manual out and they go do their thing, and that's fine. But some people want to know. They want to be most efficient. They want to understand. And so that's where human design comes in really, really well.
I love that. Well, thank you so much. I have one final question I love to ask people, which is, what's your favorite form of self-love and self-care?
Ooh, I am such a learner. So my favorite is, I guess I would say, buying myself sushi and letting myself learn anything by myself. So it's probably my favorite thing if I give myself that time. That's probably my favorite thing. But I'm just such I'm an enthusiastic, love of change person that just allowing myself to do what lights me up is my best form of self-love, because as human beings, we don't do that very often, and I'm getting better and better and better, and it's been really wonderful for me.
I love that. Thank you so much for your time, Angie. It was so lovely to spend time with you and get to know these types. And we can't wait to have you on again to continue the education around human design and all its specificities and nuances.
Yes, no, I love sharing, and I love getting to connect with having a projector to talk with. This is such a special thing too. So I just want to recognize you and all the things that you're doing as well.
Thank you. I feel so seen. All right, guys, have a good day, and don't forget to love yourselves. Hey, thank you so much for tuning in today. I hope you enjoyed the episode as much as I enjoyed sharing it with you. If you found this episode helpful in any way, I want to invite you to send it to someone who would benefit from it. Also, consider leaving a rate and review for the podcast, as it really does help the podcast get to the top of the recommendations list, so that even more people can get on the self-love train. Come follow me over on Instagram and TikTok at fortheloveof.self. That's at fortheloveof.self. Shoot me a message and let me know what your favorite takeaways were. I love meeting new people and watching them grow. And thank you again so much for tuning in today, as it really is an honor to be here with you. We'll catch you in the next one. Oh, and of course, don't forget to subscribe.